We will have another prominent speaker here on stage. He's from the flight industry and he will explain us some of his ideas how the industry might change with the new input. The impact Ryanair has already on air travel is very familiar to everyone in this room. But he's going to tell us what the package travel industry perhaps might suffer from. Is there any risk for them to do this? And we have prepared some questions for you. So I would like you now, before Kenny comes up here, just to answer questions. I will read the options. We have 3 options there. And the first option is, if you think about Ryanair coming into this market with a package tour, what do you think? Is this a reason to worry for other tour operators? It's the first question and first answer. Second answer is, the move into the package travel for the market, is it no need to worry or a slight need to worry? You can see it there as well. And the third one is, Ryanair move into the package travel market leads not to worry all tour operators. So there's no risk behind this. So please take your TED tool in your hand and then make your choice. And I would say it's time to choose now. Please go ahead. So you said 62.9% yes. Some of them might have to worry. 9.8% said no worry at all. And the others said yes. Almost 30% of the tour operators should be aware of this new player in the market. And they should keep their eyes and their ears open what Ryanair is doing right now. And who else is ahead of this development, if not the Chief Marketing Officer? And for that reason, we have this guy here. It's a very intelligent, clever guy. He's in a hurry. He's almost flying on the stage. I can see him. Please come up here. We welcome on board the Chief Marketing Officer from Ryanair. Can you please come up on the stage? We're looking forward to you. Give a warm applause to him.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Yes.
Thanks.
Enjoy.
Thanks. So I'm the entertainment before the intelligent guy arrives. Thank you, Herr Bittner, for that wonderful introduction. It's great to be here in Berlin. I'm going to talk to you about 3 things today. The topic of my presentation is the future of tourism in Europe over the next number of years. And I'm taking some background research done actually here at ITB, and just what do we as Ryanair see happening in European tourism in the next number of years. I'm also going to talk about the European airline response, and from that segue into what are we as Ryanair doing to respond to that European tourism opportunity. I'm also going to talk about Germany, and I'm also going to talk about Berlin, because it's absolutely crazy that Schönefeld is closed today and closed any day. This is not good for tourism, it's not good for Berlin, and it's something that has to stop. Okay, starting with world tourism. World tourism, and I'm taking this data from the ITB forecast in terms of what's going to happen. World tourism, as you can see, is going to grow somewhere up to around 5%, European tourism at around 4%. So pretty healthy in Europe in 2017. But there are some challenges. Outbound travel up 4%. GDP in Europe is going to grow at about 1.5% in the coming years, and that could become a bit more sluggish depending on what's going to happen with Brexit. Airline capacity is going to grow by about 6%. Airline capacity should normally grow at 2 times GDP. So airline capacity should be 3% growth, but it's growing by 6% this coming year and last year. So you have overcapacity for short haul in the European market, which means fares are coming down, which if you're a consumer is great news. And people are spending less when they travel. The European consumer is a little bit more anxious about what's going to happen with their future income because of a bit of uncertainty around what's going to happen in Europe, given Brexit, given elections here in Germany, here in France. So what we see is people still say, I want my holidays, I still want to travel, but they want to spend less on the flight. That's good for us because we're a low-cost airline. They also want to spend less on the accommodation. They want to spend less then when they're at the destination. So people still want to travel, but they want to do it in a more low-cost way. Turkey has been losing tourists because of anxiety over terrorism, and the biggest winner there has been Spain. Spain has had rapid growth this coming summer and last summer from tourists, led by big numbers of Germans who used to go to Turkey, who don't want to go to Turkey in the short term, and they're now going to Spain, followed by the Brits. And Portugal and the Algarve has also picked up. Italy has also picked up, and Greece now is also starting to grow again, having had a bad year. Couple of years, 3 years ago, when you had the situation in Syria and refugees on boats landing on Greek beaches during the summer. That's kind of how we see the landscape at the moment. Brexit and what's going to happen with open skies is an issue that Europe needs to sort out. ATC strikes like we've had this week. So it's a good week to be standing here talking about the damage that unions can do to travel in Europe. We've cancelled over 300 flights this week because of French air traffic controllers who are going on strike for who knows whatever reason. And this impacts flights that not just land in France, but also impact flights that fly over France. It's the same for every other airline. And as I said in my introduction, how bad is it that Schönefeld is closed today? This is not good for the industry. Staying low cost is also a challenge for the industry. While Spain is having a very good 2017, the challenge for Spain will be in 2018. Already it's reported that hotel price inflation in Spain is over 25% this year. So what's going to happen this year is Spain is going to look expensive for a lot of the Germans and Europeans who go to Spain, and next year they will start to say, well, will we just go to Greece? Will we go to Italy? Will we go to Portugal? Or will we go back to Turkey? So it's very important that anyone who has this short-term victory in terms of inbound travel coming, because, like Spain, they need to make sure that they don't become too expensive. Terrorism is a constant anxiety that is in Europe. Airports have been attacked, and thankfully we haven't had an attack too recently, but I think we are all conscious of this threat. Donald Trump, I actually think he's probably going to be a good thing for the European industry. And I think he's going to be a good thing for the European industry because the dollar is going to be stronger against the euro, and more Americans are going to come to Europe. I think because also the euro is weaker against the dollar, more Europeans are likely to stay at home. Quickly on Brexit then. So probably, and I'm Irish, I'm not British, so I don't have a vested interest, and I am a European, and I am in favour of Britain staying in Europe, so I was disappointed they left, and I'm also in favour of Europe reforming itself and becoming less bureaucratic and more pro-consumer. But next week, Theresa May, the British Prime Minister, will trigger Article 50. Then we start the ugliest divorce the world has ever seen between Britain and Europe. This divorce officially starts in April, and it's supposed to take 2 years. I think everybody agrees it's going to take more than 2 years to complete this divorce. And a major question for our industry is what's going to happen with open skies. At the moment, you have all of the British politicians saying, no, it's inconceivable that the UK and Europe would have any restrictions on flying. But you have Brussels saying, well, let's see about that. And I think at the moment we don't know. And we're not 2 years away from needing to know. We're 1 year away from needing to know what happens with open skies. Open skies allows every EU member state to fly within the EU, and everyone joins the Schengen queue and there are no restrictions. If the UK leaves the EU, if they leave the European Court of Justice, they will not be part of open skies. So Europe needs to find a solution, and this will be part of the negotiation between the UK and Europe, part of this divorce negotiation. We don't know what's going to happen yet, and all airlines will be encouraging the British government to move a bit faster and come up with an alternative, because this does need to be a new solution so that Europeans and Britons can keep flying between the UK and the rest of Europe. But there's no certainty. I think this is going to be an ugly divorce. I think Europe is going to make it very difficult for Britain to leave. and let's see what happens. But we, in this coming year, have reduced our growth in the UK to 6%, having grown in the UK previously by 12 and 10%. So all airlines are reducing their growth rates in the UK while you have this uncertainty around Brexit and what's going to happen with open skies in the future. Some of the trends we've seen that I've touched on, I think Spain could overtake France as Europe's #1 tourist destination. Looking at the growth trajectory that they have at the moment, this is absolutely possible. We also see more growth in the Algarve. Spain, if they develop the North Atlantic part of Spain, this could become another very big resort area, because Andalusia in Spain, it's quite saturated. And southern Italy, meaning Calabria and Sicily, this really is a very untapped June, July, August, September tourist destination during the summer months that we think also has great potential. Greece is getting excited about growing from 30 to 35 million annual tourists a year, and we're saying, no, this is too small. You should be thinking about 40 million plus tourists a year. We've made a proposal to the Greek government that we would double in size in Greece if they made their airports cheaper, because Greek airports are too expensive. And our advice to the Greeks is, you have an amazing country, but don't view your tourism as a gift from God that you should admire every year. You need to invest in it and you need to develop it. Israel is becoming more and more a winter destination for Europeans. Anyone who's gone to Tenerife last December or January saw how busy it is with Europeans and Russians, but more and more Israel and all parts of the Israeli coast are becoming an interesting winter destination for Europeans. And city breaks are growing everywhere, and the shoulder seasons are growing. This is a very, very important fact. The shoulder seasons means that the summer is now becoming April, May, June, July, August, September, and October. That is becoming the summer, not just the peak of July and August. Any airline can make good business in July and August, but it's about extending that season so it's much, much bigger. That's what the resorts are interested in, and that's what places like Faro, places like Malaga are interested in, because you get tourists coming for 6 to 8 months, not just 2 months of the year. You can see here again data I'm taking from ITB that the growth in city trips is up massively. Tourism for events is up massively. The traditional tour holiday is coming down, and countryside and mountainside trips are coming down. So Europeans are in love with visiting other European cities, which is a great thing in general. It's a particularly great thing for our business, because that is how our business was founded, and it's a big, huge part of our business today. And as I said at the start, my prediction would be that actually I think Europe is going to beat that 4% growth rate in the coming years, because more Europeans will stay in Europe, because more Americans will be inclined to come to Europe. Because if you're an American, middle-class American who has more money, and Donald Trump is determined to put more money in the pockets of middle-class Americans, then you come to Europe on your holidays. You don't go to Miami on your holidays. And I think more Asians will come to Europe, again because of currency, but also because they probably don't like Donald Trump's new immigration policy. So they are my predictions in terms of what's going to happen with European tourism, and why I think it has the opportunity to grow well beyond 4% in the coming years. A couple of 3 things I want to call out, because it's a good opportunity, but we also need to wake up, and I'm going to give you 3 examples here. In Barcelona, the mayor of Barcelona has passed a law forbidding that Barcelona can build any more hotels, because the people of Barcelona are saying there is too many tourists. I think this is the wrong approach. The right approach is to say, Barcelona, ever since we've hosted the Olympics, we've done a great job of becoming Europe's most desired tourism city on the water. What they should do is develop the rest of Catalonia. They should develop Girona, they should develop Reus, they should develop Tarragona, all of these incredible places in Catalonia, so that visiting Catalonia is not just about going to Barcelona for a weekend to spend it in Las Ramblas. And that's what they should be thinking, and that's how they should be thinking. If you restrict the building of hotel rooms, prices of hotel rooms in Barcelona, which are already expensive, will just become more expensive. And this is going to be bad for tourism in Barcelona. Second example is here in wonderful Berlin. And I'm going to tell you a simple story about the airport, the 2 airports. Berlin has two airports, Schönefeld and Tegel, that between them today carry 33 million passengers. The plan is to replace these two airports with one new airport, Brandenburg, BER, which when it opens will have capacity for 27 million passengers. What happens to the 6 million passengers between who comes into Berlin today and who will be able to come into Berlin when BER opens? Berlin has a population of 3.5 million. Berlin is Europe's third most visited city after London and Paris. London has 6 airports, and every year it carries 130 million people in and out of London. Paris has 4 airports, and every year it carries 110 million people in and out of Paris. Berlin, and I'm talking to the politicians, to the city, to Brandenburg, and to Germany, Berlin should be thinking about, we need to be planning airport capacity of 50 to 75 million in Berlin, and we need to be thinking 3 airports, not 1 airport. It is absolutely crazy to close Tegel, and we're actively supporting that Tegel is kept open so that there is an alternative. And it is absolutely crazy for a city this great, this big, and Europe's third biggest inbound city to be planning its airport capacity with a reduction of 6 million than the current levels coming in to the city. That just doesn't work, and it's not good thinking. And how obvious is that on a day like today when nobody here can fly from the airport because one union is able to keep everybody grounded in a great city like Berlin. And that's all I've got to say on that. On Greece, I've already mentioned that Greece does need to be more ambitious, and we are great supporters of Greek tourism, and Greek tourism should be looking to get to 40 million and not 35 million in the coming years. Okay, to come on to my second topic and the airline response. Look, the industry is still pretty much the industry. I've just got one slide on this topic. LCCs, low-cost airlines, are going to grow by more than 10% this year. Legacy airlines are going to grow by -2% when it comes to short-haul capacity. These are not Ryanair numbers, these are numbers from Citibank. Last year, legacy carriers also reduced their capacity, and low-cost grew by more than 10%. Low-cost airlines now have the upper hand. 51% of all of the flights within Europe this year are going to be on a low-cost airline. That means 49% of them are on a legacy carrier. So this is the first year in history that low cost has overtaken legacy carriers for flying within Europe. And what you're going to see in the coming years is this trend will just continue. The big 5 airlines in Europe have about 55% of the European market. At some point in time, the big 5 airlines in Europe will have about 75% of the European market. Aviation fuel is cheap at the moment. When aviation fuel gets up to around $70 a barrel, you will see big consolidation in the market, and you'll see a lot of European airlines go out of business. So what's going to happen in Europe is what has been happening in the past number of years. Low cost will continue to dominate. The price of fuel will go up at some point, and you'll see fairly big consolidation within the industry. You'll start to see low-cost airlines like Ryanair work with legacy carriers like IAG, BA, Aer Lingus, and others, even Lufthansa, where low cost is feeding the long-haul operation of the legacy carriers. And aircraft orders are pretty big. You'll probably have a couple of more years of extra capacity. So it's a pretty benign environment when it comes to growth. It is a tough price environment because every airline has cheap fuel. There is overcapacity in the market, so consumers are doing well because fares have come down for the past 2 years and will come down for the coming year. But at some point in time, there will be a wave of consolidation because the price of fuel hits something like $75 a barrel, and the rest will just carry on, and there will be consolidation. A bit on the Ryanair response then. What are we going to do in the coming years? We're going to use our scale. We're Europe's biggest airline. This year we'll carry 119 million passengers in the year. Next year we'll carry 130 million passengers. We are going to reduce fares. Our fares at the last quarter we reported were down 15% on the previous year, and we do see fares coming down in the next year. So it's going to be a good time for anyone looking to travel. We're going to expand everywhere. We are number 1 in a lot of the markets around Europe, and we are going to continue to expand. Always Getting Better is a program that we launched 3.5 years ago to improve Ryanair, because we needed to improve the service that we gave customers. We needed to improve the way we used digital in our business, and I think over the past 3 years we've changed more than any airline in the world. We now have an airline website that's as good as anyone else's in Europe. We have the best airline app in Europe. We let you bring 2 bags on board. You can pick your own seat. And I think everyone, even the people who didn't like Ryanair, would say, wow, how have they done that? Their prices have gone down, their service has gone up, and they've really expanded, and they fly pretty much everywhere I want to travel within Europe, except one airport we don't think we'll ever fly to, which is London Heathrow. But every airport is a possibility, including Frankfurt, which I'll talk about next. And it's about the Amazon of travel. The Amazon of travel is Ryanair becoming the go-to website, the go-to app for every travel product and service that you want to buy. Whether that's flights, hotels, holidays, things to do at the destination, restaurants. We have big ambitions to sell you more travel-related products and services. We also are the world's most visited airline website. So it really is just about converting that traffic as the world's most visited airline website into an opportunity to make you a customer of those travel products and services in addition to the flights that we sell. We're number 1 for coverage, 85 bases now, 33 markets in Europe. You can see we'll be just under 120 million customers this year. We have a big fleet and it's getting bigger. And one of our unique points of Ryanair is that we cover so much of the map of Europe. This is our market share in all of the key markets. We're here in Germany and it is a big focus market for us. We've doubled in size in Germany in the past 2 years. We will grow to about 8% in the German market in this coming year because Lufthansa is acquiring a big chunk of Air Berlin. We will become the de facto second biggest airline in Germany by the end of the year, and we want to get to about 20% of the German market. And that's why we're continuing to grow here in Germany. But we're growing everywhere. This coming year, there's big growth in Italy, big growth here in Germany, big growth in Central Europe, and big growth in Spain. They will be the big 4 growth markets for us in this coming 12 months. This is how our fleet is going to grow and how by the year 2024, you can see on the furthest right-hand side, we will get to 20 million traffic. That will give Ryanair about 22 to 24% of the European market by the year 2024. These are a lot of the changes that we've made under Always Getting Better. I've mentioned some of these, but as I've said, we have really listened to customers. We've fixed a lot of things that needed to be fixed. We've embraced digital. And I think we've changed more than any airline in the world. And we're still changing. In a few weeks' time, we will announce GB4, which is the 4th year of change and innovation at Ryanair, and there will be some exciting news in there. I'm very happy to show you this slide because British Airways, it was announced during the week, are reducing the size of their seat pitch. So at the moment, who would have thought this was possible a few years ago? You're looking at the existing Ryanair seats at 30 inches, the future Ryanair seats at 31 inches, while both Lufthansa and BA are reducing seat pitches as they try to get more seat in the aircraft so that they can make their flights more profitable. And that's just one of the aspects that lend itself to us improving the customer experience for our customers more than Lufthansa and BA. The Amazon of travel I've already mentioned, so I'm going to skip over that, and the website visits. Ryanair Holidays, we've launched at the end of this year. This is about us becoming a place for you to come and book a holiday. We've launched it in Ireland, the UK, and here in Germany. We're going to launch it in more markets in the coming year, and that's all about Ryanair selling holidays because we don't think you need to go to an expensive tour operator or travel agent to book a holiday. A bit about Germany then. So look, we are getting bigger here. This year we will carry 17.5 million customers here in Germany. We've got 9 bases. We're flying from 13 airports, and we continue to expand. Here in Berlin, we have 9 based aircraft, nearly 5.5 million customers a year, and you would have seen that we announced Frankfurt, and you can see David Hasselhoff was even surprised to see a Ryanair aircraft at Frankfurt am Main. And Frankfurt am Main, it's a growing base for us. In the coming winter, we've announced that we'll have 7 based aircraft at Frankfurt am Main, 20 routes in addition to the 4 routes that we already fly for the summer, and in total, we'll have 2.3 million customers. So we're serious about growing in Germany. It needs to be a great opportunity for us, and it is a great opportunity for us, because Germany is Europe's most conservative and traditional market. 51% of all of the flights in Europe are on a low-cost airline. Only 15% of the flights in Germany are on a low-cost airline. So German consumers need more choice of routes, more choice of low fares. And that's why we don't like and why we're objecting to Lufthansa's merger with Air Berlin, because this is the number one and the number two in the market merging. This is going to create an airline group with over 52% market share with complete dominance and control of the 20 domestic routes. This doesn't keep us up at night, but the loser in this, there's only one loser, and that's the German consumer, because it means you're going to keep paying very expensive Lufthansa fares and you're going to have choice restricted. And we would say, as good Europeans, it's all about open competition, have more airports, have more airlines, have more choice, and may the best airline win, and customers will decide where they want to put their euros. So in summary, European tourism, I think, is healthy. That was the topic I was asked to speak about. I think actually European tourism has a good opportunity to get beyond the 4% growth that is predicted. I think there's aspects in Europe and aspects outside of Europe that will help that. I think Brexit is something that we all don't like. I don't like it as an individual. We don't like it as Ryanair because it is bad. And let's see what happens once this negotiation starts. But we need to see more urgency from London and Brussels in telling all of us, not just the airlines, but all of us want to know as consumers who travel, how am I going to be able to travel between Europe and the UK, and how is this going to work? We do see shifting demand from Turkey into the Med market, and this looks like it's going to continue for the next number of years, and then it might go back the other way. And we do see significant shifting demand, not just to low-cost airlines, but to all types of low-cost travel product. Low-cost hotels, low-cost holidays, everything that's low-cost is doing well. And I think Europe can still embrace tourism. I gave you 3 examples there of Barcelona, Berlin, and Greece as 3 specific examples where we would say, look, wake up. Tourism is great for your economy. Tourism creates jobs for young people, and it is a great driver of any economy. And Berlin needs that, Barcelona needs that, and Greece needs that. And as I said at the start, low cost will always win, be you an airline, be you a hotel, or any product. And who would have thought that Michael O'Leary and Carsten Spohr would be new best friends as we started flying from Frankfurt. So that's the end of my presentation. I hope I have time for a few questions. Thank you very much. Are we doing questions? We're not doing questions. Okay, thanks.